Hello, and welcome to Fusion Writing, where building character meets creating structure. This is our Zettelkasten week, and today is our map session where we get to go into a little more detail about our project for the week. Am I ever excited? So without further ado, let me turn it over to Victoria. Take it away.
Hey everybody, welcome back. So if you've been hanging in with us for a while, you know that our third week is always about taking what we've talked about and figuring out a way to incorporate that into your system. Even if you don't have a system, that's okay, because I'm not going to tell you how to do it, I'm going to tell you what to do. So we talked about different kinds of dialogue. How do you give your characters things that identify their voice? Some of those options were things like listening. You can listen to other sources, whether you like movies or TV, streaming, whatever, it doesn't matter. But listening to how character is manifested through voice, and then taking good notes about that. The important thing is do the capture. That's what week 3 is for. Week 3 is for organizing all the stuff you've captured. Step 1 is do the capture. So whether you're out in the world in your normal daily life, whether you're just sitting at your desk and you're zero or rough drafting, doesn't matter. Get that stuff onto a note card for each of those identified characters so that you have something to work with. So let's say, for example, you've been out throughout the course of your day and you've collected 3 pieces of dialogue that you think typify a particular character. Simple. Write them down. They don't have to be in a rough draft. Just get it on a card and tuck those away. When you have a couple or 3 or 10 or even more, take that group and assign it a number. Now, I'm not going to tell you what number to give it because your system is your own. My system has a particular section which is literally labeled dialogue collection. It's under the heading of conversations. I may have dialogue, I may have arguments, I may have observations or just kind of inert things that a character has seen or taken note of. I have questions. So there's lots of subsections under my conversations that include different types of conversation. So we were just talking about dialogue. In my Zettelkasten, dialogue is the first section because that was the first thing I started collecting. So that's how mine evolved. It's the order in which I started collecting those things, and then I just drop them into what I call pools. So what that means is those cards don't have a particular order that they go in. They're just all grouped together. The reason I did that is because when I need dialogue for a particular character, I don't want to go to a specific thing. I want to see a lot of options. So I may have dialogue for Brad. I may have dialogue for Jenny. And each of those are simply grouped by that character name. So then when I'm in a situation drafting and I need to know what would Jenny say, I'm just going to pull her dialogue cards out of that section of conversation. I'm going to lay them all out. And by looking over those in a grid pattern with all of those options, always I will get a bead on what she would say in a situation or how she might say it. Remember last week when I said, how do you know when you've nailed a character's voice? It's when you know in any given situation what they would say and what they would never say. That's what your dialogue cards help you discover. So, highly encourage you to set up a random dialogue section, even if it's just a pool, drop those dialogue cards in, and then when you get a few that typify a character, put those together and label them addressed to that character. That's the workflow. So let's talk about a quick second example, the research. Remember when I talked about how you should look at other people and model what they're doing? It could be an actual person that you know. Let's say your character has a deep Southern accent. Your character's from Kentucky. If you happen to know someone from Kentucky, jot down some of those quirky things that they say. Maybe they drop the G's off of their ing words, or maybe they have some quirky sayings or phrases that they always go to. Note those things down. That's modeling people around you. I also mentioned you could model other fiction. However, remember I cautioned you, always do your research and verify. Just because some famous author wrote a Southern character in a particular way, it doesn't mean that that's accurate to reality. So definitely research that for yourself and put that into your research section. So maybe your characters are all from the Deep South. line those out by character name, and start plugging in. This female character uses these kinds of quirky things, but this male character is much rougher and direct and would say things in a different way. And then just group them by character. The whole point of this week is don't get too far into the numbering and organization weeds. It's totally fine to just do it at that higher level, whether it's sorted just by conversations, just by arguments, or by individual characters. That's up to you. The important things are gather your cards, get that information into those pools and collections, and then start tucking them into your box in such a way that you can find them when you need them. So that's where I'm going to leave you for this week. Do your homework and get it into your box so you can find it later. With that, I'll throw it to Kathleen to continue.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Victoria. And thank you for your careful explanation of how you work, because you just saved me a lot of talking, because I'm talking also about creating pools. I tend to call them drop boxes, but it's the exact same idea. I like the idea of a pool. It really expresses it. It's like water. It all mingles together. Whereas a drop box, you just think of it as being its own strict unit. Well, the whole thing of one of these areas, call it a Dropbox, call it a pool, is that each card does not have to have a number. Your Dropbox has a number, your pool, or whatever you want to call it, has a number because it has a spot in your box, and the spot in the box is determined by its number. That's why it's got a number, so you know where to put it. It's geography, that's all it is. So pick your geographical spot, give it a number based on where you want it to sit, and then when those ideas come, just plop, 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 plop. Well, the one I want you to make is on orderliness, of course. We've been talking about orderliness all month, and next week you're going to get a writing assignment based on orderliness. So what we want to do now is start collecting ideas on orderliness in a manner that is very, very similar to what Victoria was saying about collecting ideas for your character's voice. You're collecting ideas for your character's backstory. What happened in the past made your character the way he is? Because we are talking about orderliness now, and people do not live in a vacuum. Where did he get that? What is that based on? Is it just a quirky way they always were? Well, then when did it first show up if it's the way they always were? So we're going to make story cards. Now, these story cards that we're going to go over are not plot cards for telling your story. They're not what happens in your story. They're what happened before your story started. They're what happened that makes your character more alive for you, character trait by character trait, so that you deeply understand not only your main character, but just characters in general. You can make up all kinds of funny characters and assign them properties of orderliness and see how that character trait functions across different personalities. We know in particular how they function across different settings because we know the difference between the rudder position, the wing position, the anchor position, the base position, and the pinnacle position. We know those different positions on the character profile diagram, and so we understand that a character trait behaves differently depending on where it's located. So we're going to be telling stories that place that character in that character trait position. And so we're going to divide it up the way we would make any ordinary main card. So this is what I mean. Up in top, the section in the top of your card in black, this is what happened. Just the facts, ma'am. What occurred, what happened that resulted in your character having orderliness in that position on the character profile diagram. Okay, then your section comes in next. And what you're doing there is telling your story about what does this show about the character? Why did you pick that story? How does this show that orderliness is in the pinnacle for that character? How does it show that it's in the base? How does it show where orderliness is for your character? And then up at the top, a very, very important thing is going to occur. You're going to provide a tagline like we do in our main cards in the Zettelkasten. One line that captures this whole card, that captures what happened and what it shows all in one line. And this we're going to use next month we're going to talk about how to use this to set up a memory prompt list for your character as we start building multiple character traits in for this one character. But this time we're just collecting story cards to go into your orderliness pool, your orderliness Dropbox, however you want to call it. And what is this part up here? That's the number that you gave to your pool, to your Dropbox. It's just that number. That's all the number it needs is that number because that's where it lives. And if it doesn't even get that number, that's fine too, because maybe you're going to pull it out later and say, I've got Thomas. I captured him months ago and I didn't even know it was him. Oh, and then maybe you want to give it Tom's number. So you don't even have to bother putting the number on the card. Just put it in the right spot. Orderliness, and you'll build up a wonderful collection of how orderliness can be used in a story. Believe it or not, this will also be telling you, without you even having to think about it, it will be building up for you how it can be used in a story. This with the practice you get in answering the question, how did it occur for him? So that is orderliness in a Zettelkasten. Care to sum us up, Victoria?
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it when we just show up at the same time in the same place and here we are doing the same thing. Oh, guys, this stuff is priceless. I mean, I can't say enough about how valuable harnessing the character traits is. But at the same time, learning how to start those sections, like Kathleen said, so you don't have to get down in the organization weeds, which is so easy to do. Instead, you just create those pools or that Dropbox and just drop those things in. And just like she said, pretty soon you're going to be reviewing those cards and realize, holy cow, I've nailed a character and didn't even realize it. Or I completely forgot about this section of dialogue, of conversations. And now I have these prompts and I can use those to get me through my story. The whole purpose is to get you into and writing your story. And that's what these tools do. So I'm sure Kathleen has a directive over there telling you where to find us and how you can engage with us over in Fusion Writing.
You bet. Come on over to LiLLiPub.org. This is where we gather through the week to talk about these things. We have a Fusion Writing community over there, and we also have a Saturday Zoom call every week where we share our writing and we talk about how it can be improved. You can participate on either the level of a reader or a writer. You get to choose, or you can just come and be a fly on the wall for a while if you want to and see how does this work? How do they share their writing? What do they learn? Come on over to LiLLiPub.org. We won't make you speak if you don't want to. We'll introduce you, but you can be quiet if you want and just listen. We have so much fun in our Saturday Zoom calls. Do consider joining us. LiLLiPub.org. Thank you. Bye-bye.